Alright, look. Spider-Man. Oh, yes. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm sitting here at my little nephew's house. His name is Garrett. He's 5 years old. Hi. We are going to be giving his house a full, complete transformation. We're more so just going to be decluttering and organizing. And Garrett said that he loves cleaning, so he's going to be my little helper. Just going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to have fun, right?
Actually, I said this is my house, so I don't have to.
All right, high five. All right, let's get on into
I don't
it.
want to clean.
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. I thank you guys so much for clicking on today's video. We hope to inspire and motivate you on any and all of your house DIY and cleaning projects. Here, my nephew and I are going to go ahead and declutter the entire apartment. And while that's happening, I also wanted to discuss how to overcome the negative impacts on social media. Sometimes I'm sitting, and when I'm sitting, I'm thinking, knowing that the kids are just about to start school again for this year, it really prompted me to discuss this topic. The kids are returning to school. We want them to be happy, healthy, and for them to continue thriving. And I've just been seeing so many things regarding social media. Not always a good thing, so I decided to talk about it. Now, I'm not saying that social media has no positives. I think that the biggest issue is the lack of internet safety being discussed with children, and others just not knowing how to protect themselves and or set boundaries. Social media doesn't just impact children, because as we know it, anybody can be impacted by social media. There has been several times when I had to set limits for myself just because I felt like I was spending too much time on social media, and it's always okay to take a step back. But what I've learned is that, social media can have negative impacts on people if not handled properly. Some of those issues that I've been seeing circulate around the social media, it can cause people to feel lonely, isolated. It can reduce one's self-esteem due to comparison, distorted sense of reality, cyberbullying, privacy concerns, or even addictive behaviors. As we often see with children, they become more aware of electronics and screen time. Not only that, but research has also shown that too much social media can cause anxiety, depression, as the constant exposure to unrealistic portrayals of life can start to take a toll on mental health. Especially for our younger generation, the most important thing to keep in mind is that overcoming the negative impacts of social media involves setting healthy boundaries and adapting mindful practices. So, let's go ahead and start discussing a few tips that I think might help us all. Tip number 1 would be to limit usage. You could also do this by setting specific time limits for social media use to avoid excessive exposure and addictive behaviors. I know that there has been several instances where I would go on different social media platforms and I would just scroll for hours. And of course, too much screen time is never healthy. My second tip would be to follow accounts that promote positivity, education, and meaningful content. This can, of course, be for kids and or adults, but you want to make sure that you're going to fill your mind with positivity or something that you're able to learn and grow from. I think that this is most important for anyone, as we're heavily influenced by things that we see around us on social media. My third tip would be engage offline. I know that children love screen time just as adults do, but it's also important to spend that one-on-one quality time with family, friends, getting out the house, getting into some hobbies, exercising, and just enjoying life. I also think that's where most of us gain our real life experiences and get exposed to other things that we may have never even known that we were interested in. Tip number 4 would be practice digital detox. That I know might sound a little tricky, but it's important to regularly disconnect from social media just to kind of give ourselves a reset and focus on real world interactions and activities. There has been several times where I worked in a school district and I just felt like the kids were too obsessed when it comes to social media that it would cause issues with them having the ability to disconnect from it, because they would spend hours and hours gaining that access from social media, that when it came time to do other things with social friends, it was difficult for them to think outside of the box. So I think that is very important. Tip number 5 is mindfulness. I think that with anything, our intentions are to practice being mindful, but sometimes we might not know how to regulate that. But this can mean several different things. And when it comes to social media, being aware of how social media affects your emotions and self-esteem is important. I know that it's easy for us to compare ourselves to others, but really life is not a race. Everybody is in their own chapter and everybody is following their own pace when it comes to their successes. Whether your story is different than the next, you just have to live in your purpose and take your own route. So be mindful and don't allow social media to create a stigma that you have to follow a certain outline or guideline to fit in. Tip number 6 is setting boundaries. Now, it's important to designate specific times for social media use and avoid it during mealtime, before sleep, or other important activities. If you've ever been out to dinner with family and friends and you just see a group of people literally silent and on their phones, are you really spending time together and actually talking about the day, or just kind of reminiscing on different things that you guys have been through? So I think it's definitely important to set those boundaries and specific guidelines for when social media usage can be okay. Tip number 7, unplug before sleep. Now, I know that everybody wants to catch up on our last minute text messages and just make sure that they're all set for the next day, and that's all fine and dandy. But the moment you go to sleep, you don't want to be distracted by your phone and logging onto various social media platforms. So in order to save yourself and to get the most out of your rest time so that you can have a full reset for the next day, unplug those devices before you go to sleep. Our last tip of the day is seeking support. Now, of course, this is going to be hard for children because sometimes they don't even realize that things on social media can impact them. They kind of just take things and run with it. And of course, this is very depending on the person, the child, and things of that sort. But if social media is impacting your mental health significantly, I think it's important to consider talking to a mental health professional or counselor, a family member, or just someone that's trusted so that you can be reassured and come up with a better plan to get you emotionally regulated and back on track. But above anything, just remember that the goal is not necessarily to completely eliminate social media, but rather to use it mindfully and in a way that enhances your well-being rather than diminishes it. Now, again, social media is a very loving and supportive place for people to grow, connect, and be creative. But just make sure that you have healthy boundaries set, whether it be an adult or a child. And I hope that these tips can help you in some type of way. For those that have children that are in school, I hope that they have a great and successful school year. Now, for the rest of the video, I'm just going to show you guys me organizing the drawers, and then we'll do an overview for the end. So let's just jam out to the music, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks so much for watching.